2, 1, fire! A Righteous Kill is a serial killer, cop drama.
Get your hands off me!
I've always wanted to do films that had suspense in them. I liked the cinematic element of making an audience watch and making them look at small actions and trying to feel what the significance of that is.
Write it down, get it out.
My name is David Fisk, detective first grade. I've killed 14 people.
I was given a script possibly as a vehicle for Bob De Niro. I read it and I thought it would be a good project for Bob. I'd always wanted to work with Bob.
It was sent to me and I liked it, and then I met John and we talked about it.
And I suggested that we have a reading the next weekend in New York to see if it was a good fit for him and to see if he and I were comfortable. It was quite exciting to hear Bob read those words, and afterwards he felt good, I felt good. And then we sat down to talk about how to cast the movie.
Of course, the list, comes in waves, massive amounts of names because everybody wants to work with Robert De Niro.
When John and I were discussing who would be in it, I thought, well, what about Al?
I said, well, that's a very easy phone call for me to make. And we both sort of chuckled and smiled, and I called Al and I said, guess where I am? I'm with Bob, we have this project. He said he'd read it quickly, and in fact, he did. He read it very quickly. And he called me the next day and said, okay, I'm gonna do it. It was just sort of like serendipitous.
I think it was kind of, the classic sort of lightning in a bottle. It just kind of worked. You have these two very iconic actors doing what they do really well, which is good urban dramas.
Oh, you don't believe in miracles? When you pick up a check one day, then I'll believe in miracles. Let's go. I'm buying. Yeah, that's a miracle I want to see.
Okay. Ready? Very good, Charlie. Let's go again.
The most important thing is you got Pacino and De Niro in actual scenes talking. I mean, this is history, it's legend.
We weren't actually in Godfather 2 together, but we did Heat. I guess it's about 13, 14 years ago.
But except for one scene in Heat, they've never actually done any sustained acting sequences together. Well, that's not true in this picture. Most of the picture is the two of them working with each other and interacting with each other and playing off of each other. And that is literally a once-in-a-lifetime event for two stars of this caliber.
I mean, I remember the first time I heard, they were both standing there together. I think we were doing the camera test or something, and they were talking, and I thought, wow, it's amazing because their voices are so iconic, and they are so iconic, and to see them together in one frame is very powerful, and on just a totally non-intellectual level, you're just like, wow, that's so cool.
Al and Bob are able to give you such a specific character. I mean, I'll do stuff and I'll say, well, you want to try this and try this. And I think, how many more things can they do? And the answer is, sadly, the limit of their performance is the limit of my imagination.
I mean, there are things, if you know each other, like as long as we've known each other, you can draw on those things. And even if it's kind of a subtle, sort of imperceptible something, the comfort level is there.
Well, it was funny because, the original script had about 1/8 of a page of the guys fire some guns, and when we went to the firing range, I think it really hit on John that there's an opportunity here to be able to set up who these guys are in a very simple way.
3, 2, 1, fire! Beautiful cut. Sometimes the chemistry, the alchemistry almost, of the Bob and Al in the story changes it to something different. And you have to see not what you intended, but what's there as well. And you can see Al and Bob with those guns firing, and you can see the camaraderie, but it's much more than that. It's almost kind of an anthropomorphic evocation, of what a gun is to a cop.
You like carrying a gun? There's nothing wrong with a little shooting as long as the right people get shot. What about the badge? The badge is nice, as long as it comes with a gun.
Obviously, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, I mean, it's an incredible, just alone, that's amazing. But also Brian Dennehy and John Leguizamo and Donnie Wahlberg. I mean, it's just an extraordinary group of people.
When we did the round table scene, I mean, somebody said to me on set, it was like an actor's Knights of the Round Table, and I said, wow. They could have said it was like the two chiefs and a bunch of little Indians, but to be sort of thrown into that as one of King Arthur's boys is very flattering to me.
The conference room scene I thought, well, this is a good way to shoot this, because I had 2 cameras on a circular track. It's kind of unusual way to shoot something, but it allowed me to cut from the same person, with different angles at the same time, which I thought was kind of evocative. And then the question is, can I capture the moments of discovery, on camera? Create the world, the canvas, where they can paint and be there when that brush hits the canvas.
Hard marker.
Where the fuck are you going? The idea of a skateboard pimp, I don't know, just felt right for me. I haven't seen it, felt fresh.
I feel absolutely honored for me to have a bullet wound in my forehead, to be laying in the hot sun with my eyes closed. I felt like I was on a beach somewhere, and like Pacino and De Niro were God, just talking back and forth. That's how it felt. It was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I was just like, it was so surreal for me.
Rooster, we gotta find out who did this. Give him a medal.
The Greatest Actors Live comboed again is absolutely incredible, and the icing on the cake is throwing Curtis Jackson in.
I'm sorry, there's no one here by that name.
Action.
I played Spider, real entrepreneur with the wrong direction.
That looked pretty good to me. Curtis Jackson, had him read with Bob and Al. I had him read with me. I mean, I've worked him, and he so much wants this.
I was really excited at the opportunity to even go meet John. I'm pretty persuasive when I really want things.
He actually is one of those people that treats everybody the same. I mean, he is inviting in his personality. People actually will come up to him because he, I think, invites that.
I also want to learn how to rap, so I'm expecting him to teach me.
I used to play ball a couple of blocks from here.
Get the fuck out of here.
When I was a kid, I wasn't afraid to mix it up with guys like you.
Still ain't.
Nowadays, I carry a gun with me. It's a bad neighborhood.
Ain't bad for me.
You are entering a world where things aren't exactly what they seem to be, where the rules seem to be different, and indeed the storytelling is kind of unusual.
When I write a movie like this, I come up with a twist first, and I write backwards. I think to myself, I look for that moment, generally at the end of the movie, that's going to make people say, oh my God.
This is a movie about friendship and loyalty and betrayal. How well do you really know someone?
There's some disturbing coincidences in these murders that begin to suggest that there may be some involvement by a police officer.
But these bodies are starting to smell. A lot of it is drifting in your direction.
Drifting or being pushed?
This person's dead, this person's dead, this person's dead. These people all could have done it. How did this come about?
Don had met with police psychologists. He'd spent some time with homicide detectives. We went to where they hang out and have drinks at night. We have Neil Carter, who was a homicide detective and has done this a little bit before with movies.
There's a day in every cop's life where he thinks, you know what, somebody needs to take this person out. This person does not deserve to be there. You think about it, but you never would act on it.
There is always that attraction of the vigilante, the guy who is giving people the punishment that a lot of people think that they deserve.
We have someone who goes way outside the law. I mean, so above and beyond outside the law that it's quite fascinating.
Detective.
Rooster is a detective who got to the point where he realized he wasn't really making a difference anymore. And that's a hard thing for, I think, a cop to realize, that every day they're showing up and they're putting another guy in jail, but are they really making a difference?
There have been cases that we've taken to the district attorney's office and they weren't willing to prosecute at the time. We thought we had enough, and it would be very frustrating because you knew that person was guilty or you knew they did it.
Hey, it's gonna come back to you. What? You're gonna get it. When you walk outside, watch it back.
Order in my court.
Okay, Mother, you fucking hey, Mother. Not now.
Order in my court.
You get him out of here before somebody passes a sentence on him. You can't feel him.
There's a certain air to being an NYPD detective. It's a hard job.
Their lives are essentially inherently dramatic. Have to be. A cop, most cops, 90% of their lives are as boring as anybody else's lives. But then there's that 10%, which gets very interesting and very dramatic, even melodramatic.
You know, in that baseball game that we see with them, the cops get into this mini riot, and you're seeing these guys fighting. Now, to me, a cop riot, I've never seen it. It just made me chuckle. These are a bunch of aggressive guys. So imagine what it's like when they play football, when they play softball, you know, in their leagues. Yeah, they're competitive.
The only moment of nerves I've had on this whole movie, you know, is John Avnet told me that I'm going to be pitching in the softball game. And I said, yeah, no problem, no problem. He said, Donnie, you better be able to throw strikes in that softball game. I said, don't worry, I'll throw strikes. Now, John likes to yell at me a lot, you know, because we're old friends, and he can do that on set and, you know, make an example out of me. But now when it's time to actually pitch, Robert De Niro steps into the batter's box. At that moment, it occurred to me, if this pitch is inside, I'm going to hit Robert De Niro. That's going to be a problem. But if it's outside, I'm going to have John Avnet screaming at me in front of the whole crew, the extras, everybody. And I got nervous in that moment.
Ready, and pitch it.
I had to go with protecting Bob, so I threw the pitch about 6 feet outside, and before the ball even landed in John Leguizamo's glove, I heard John Avnet screaming, Donnie, you idiot, I told you to throw a strike, why couldn't you throw a strike? But what are you gonna do? I'd rather have John yell at me than hit Bob De Niro in the head.
John was terrific. He was very collaborative and really loves actors. That's a great thing. I mean, as a director, you have to have that in order to get the best out of people.
He's just very to the point and really instinctual. So I know if something is working in his eyes, that it probably is working.
He continuously, you know, is able to bring something new to the table and inspire every person to try something different.
Even though I do almost all the shots of the movie and write them out before we start shooting, I'm much more interested in how they would do it than how I want to do it.
We'll do a lot of takes that have to do with the script, and then he always gives you a free take and let it go. And Al, probably more than anybody, takes advantage of that.
Can I speak now?
With people like Bob and Al, you can get characters that are so specific that they become iconic. Because if you think of Al in Dog Day Afternoon, how do you describe that character? Even if you think of the story of Serpico, Scent of the Woman. I mean, Al just does stuff. Can anybody have played Raging Bull? Could anybody have done Taxi Driver and Cape Fear? I mean, just think of Bob's performances. And they're so variegated, it's amazing. My job, I think, is to try and find the specificity of that character, how it melds with who these people are. And whatever I have to do that is my job and my pleasure.
I always feel like you want to work with the most incredible people you can work with to bring up your game. I mean, that is the way that you become better. And to have all my scenes be with them is incredible.
All of them have been a part of film projects that I enjoy. To be in the same room and actually be working together, it's exciting.
When this opportunity came, you know, I pretty much would have been okay with sweeping the floors for a shot to work with those guys. But fortunately, I actually get to go toe-to-toe with those guys, which is just tremendous fun.
To experience their enormous talents and to watch them, you know, and to be a part of it. It's a great, great treat.
They're like Lennon and McCartney. An inch of daylight between them.